For today's video, I wanted to pay homage to one of the most influential albums of my life, and that would be Tony Gray's Chasing Shadows. A lot of you guys probably haven't heard this, but this was something I used to listen to constantly. You know, I lived in Laramie, Wyoming, and I would have to drive to Cheyenne fairly often for gigs or just hanging out. And that was a good 45-minute drive, and that was the perfect length. I'd throw that on, spin the whole thing by myself. I'd get home that night after hanging or playing, go listen to it again. I'd be hanging with my friends in Laramie, and we'd be listening to this album. I was so addicted to this album, and it really shaped a lot of my musical taste now. So let's get into the lineup here, because this is an all-star cast of musicians on this album. First of all, instrumentation is wild. It's got harmonica from Greg Moray, who Greg actually came to Laramie when I was going to school there and did a residency. I think he was just there for a day, but it was really cool to hear him play live and kind of just witness a part of that album come to life for me. On bass trumpet was Elliot Mason on this album. Now that's an instrument I'd never heard before this thing. And it just sounds like a trombone, but you can hear him getting around a little bit more than a trombone player could. So that catches your ear right away. The amazing Bob Reynolds on saxophone. On this tune, Walking In, Walking Out, he plays soprano. On another one of these lives, which I'll be transcribing later, hopefully, he's playing some tenor, which is just, yeah, his playing's great. And Bob was I think he was up and coming then. This album was 2008, so this is a young Bob Reynolds, so it's cool to catch him there. The guitar players, man. Lionel Lueke, man. He did this trio thing with Nate Smith and I think Victor Wooten playing bass. Really cool player, really unique tone. Played with Herbie, he's got his own thing. Check him out. Tim Miller, also a phenomenal guitar player. I heard him playing with Jojo Mayer and Yannick Wisdala on one of Yannick's albums, and just such a cool tone, really spacey, a lot of altered kind of vocabulary. Just, I can't overemphasize the uniqueness of the players Tony got on this. On the keyboards, Hiromi, the mighty Hiromi. I remember watching her playing with Chick Corea's kind of up-and-coming players a long time ago with Austin Peralta. And man, that was you hear Hiromi, and whether, you know, some people don't like her over-the-top aggression, I think it's awesome. It works well in a lot of cases, and this one especially is just, the tune he got her on is just phenomenal. Oliver Rockberger, a guy I'd never heard of before, really nice blues, just got a good feel of the instrument. You can hear him kind of vocalizing some of his solos too, so just adding to the elements of uniqueness to the album. And of course the drummers. Chris Dave was like my favorite drummer. That's actually how I found the album. I was looking through Chris Dave playlists. I just wanted to get as much Chris Dave as I could possibly get in my life. And to my surprise, when I heard this track, Walking In, Walking Out, it was not Chris Dave. The other drummer, there's two more, the other drummer on this album is Ronald Bruner Jr., Thundercat's brother. Killin'. That was not him on this track either. The drummer that inspired me to do the transcription was Martin Valliora. And I never heard of Martin before this. I think he's Tony's guy that he plays with a lot in the UK. So Martin, just really thank you for inspiring me to put this together today. It really put it over the top. I knew the first time I heard this track, I'm like, man, I've got to learn that someday. Just that drum intro, it's just that groove in 7/4, and it just kind of pulled me into the whole album more. So props to Martin, props for Tony for putting together a hell of a band. I mean, he might have gone a little broke for it, but man, he carved, at least in my opinion, a deep groove into the legacy of this idiom. A little side note about the album is I listen to this album all the time on Spotify. I think I found it in 2013 or 14, so streaming was pretty big by then. And then I remember after a couple of years, Tony took it off of Spotify. He had his other albums on there, but he took this one off, and I couldn't believe it. I'm thinking, why would he do that? It's such a great album. So then I bought the CD, so maybe genius level marketing from Tony there to get me to buy the CD, which I did, and I think my buddy in Texas still has it. So I'm glad that you put out the CD, Tony, and Michael, I think you've still got the CD, so hope you're enjoying it, man. And then he recently re-released the album to Spotify a handful of years ago, so do check it out. It is an awesome album, criminally underplayed, underrated. I think there's a lot of gems in here. And I know Matt Gartzka actually saw on his Twitch stream a few years ago that he was he might have been doing this tune, but he was playing some tunes off of it, which was really cool to see. So check out the album. I approved it. Matt Garska approved it. Who else do you need? Check it out, guys. Let me know what you think. Happy practicing on the transcription.